Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadtoroota.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of chaga coffee. Had a great discussion last night with Snippy, JC, and Woo Woo Dude about Trump and silver and the coming change in life and everything. We were going on and on. It's like 2-hour talk. It was awesome. Go check it out on Jean-Claude's Rumble channel, Beyond Mystic on Rumble. He's been kicked off I think he's on his third channel on YouTube, and you really can't say anything on YouTube in his world of, I can't even talk about it now. I'm right now sitting with 0 strikes, which is amazing. But they're coming. Wait till silver runs over $30. You'll see strike, just for saying the word silver. The whole world is going to wake up to silver very soon. Already, millions of people have woken up to silver, and that's what the problem the bad guys have. Kind of like the banks. You know, the banks have the gold. They have a lot of gold. Absolutely. When the banks go down, they'll be selling a lot of gold. Although I don't think they will be able to. Why? Because the banks go down, then the exchanges go down. Where would they sell their gold? We won't know the price of gold. We won't know the price of silver. It's getting crazy, and that's how crazy it's getting. As far as our legal system, it is done. It is over, destroyed. You guys want to know the next plan? All you got to do is look at the CNN website. This saved CNN from going bankrupt, by the way. Now they got a couple years of talking about this shit. Do you know the next trial date for the Trump thing is December? Is that crazy or what? So, but that's not what all is going to happen. They want to gag him. And clearly CNN is saying that right here. Trump railed against the case despite the judge's caution. The former president was warned not to make comments that could jeopardize the rule of law or create civil unrest, but he did in his speech last night. So they're going to want to gag him. That's what they wanted to do all along, just to make him go away. But, yeah. And I did read the indictment, and it was the most ridiculous thing you ever read in your life. Copy and pasted 35 times or whatever. You know, the same charge, copy and pasted 35 times. Well, he said this, and there's no crime. That was the problem. The federal crime is conspiracy to rig the election, but there's no crime that was made. I mean, it is not illegal to give Stormy Daniels money for not talking about what's going on in the with their love life or their sex life or whatever it was. There's no crime there. There's no there. So they repeated the same thing 35 times without a crime. Every single legal person outside of the people who go on CNN are saying this is the most ridiculous thing in the world. But don't forget, the judge is a Clinton judge as well, a George Soros judge. And it is, absolutely. The whole thing is so ridiculous, it's embarrassing. But what it is doing is what needs to be done. It's kind of like what's been going on with our congressmen in the past 20 years. It needed to be shown that they are criminal and corrupt. It needs to be shown that our justice system is criminal and corrupt, from the lawyers to the judges to the Supreme Court. All of it, criminal and corrupt. We're not a nation of laws anymore. That is long gone. So, yep, they're going to gag Trump at some point for talking, and they're going to try to stop him from running, which is election interference, by the way. If this judge, this Clinton, Soros, Biden judge, is going to do what I think he's going to do. He's going to try to stop Trump from talking. Good luck with that. I think DeSantis has already said that he would not extradite Trump if the New York judicial system tries to arrest him. He won't allow it. I don't know if he can do that. That's pretty cool, though, if he couldn't. The whole thing is just so crazy. And market rigging. So we have a situation where our whole legal system, our whole government system, our whole financial system is absolutely under question and being destroyed. And because it's so weak, the veil is off, and we see that in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It is up 30 points on the arrest of Donald Trump because all they have to do is click a mouse. That's all they have to do. The basement of the U.S. Treasury is a computer trading floor. It's done along with the Fed New York. That's where most of the trades go through. And then they get the bullion banks to, or the prime dealers, to assist at any time they need them. And it's a joint cooperation between Treasury and these big mother plucking banks that have 50 trillion. Jamie Dimon and Goldman Sachs now took the lead on derivatives, which is crazy. They probably just took over the silver short position, and they'll get destroyed. Whoever's got that silver short position, they'll get destroyed. But it's so easy to rig. You click a mouse, big deal. These computer programs were invented by Alan Greenspan in the 1960s and 70s and implemented under Arthur Burns, the head of the Fed, who was also Greenspan's mentor. And that's why when Greenspan got in office in 1987 as the head of the Fed, 2 months later, there was the crash, Black Monday, they called it, in 1987. It was 2 months after Greenspan got in. And all the, you look back and said, what happened to this crash? It was all computer generated. Well, there you go. That's what Alan Greenspan was trying to do. And then he figured out, oh, God, I can't get rid of these guys. We're going to have to blow this bubble a lot bigger. So he did. He blew it as big as he could. And then the bubble has continued to blow. But one pinprick and this whole thing goes down. And there's been a lot of pinpricks lately. So keep an eye on silver. Millions and millions of people know about silver now. The big money kind of knows about silver, but not really. I've been hearing multi-million-dollar silver orders going in for physical silver in their own possession, which is great. If you have multi-million dollars and you're looking to save it from the criminal justice system, from the FDIC that has no money, I think they insure, not counting the derivatives, but they do insure the derivatives as well. I think it's 18 trillion, and they only have 120 billion in the bank for insurance. So don't count on your FDIC insurance. Any FDIC shortfall would have to be voted on by Congress, and don't count on Congress for anything. No way they're passing the debt ceiling now. Not a chance in hell. So what happens? The government shuts down for good, probably forever, and that's the end. Goodbye. Good riddance. And that's the end game. At some point, we'll get there. I think they're looking at June for the debt ceiling to hit, although things are happening. They need to do more and more bailouts. Things are happening behind the scenes, so that it may come sooner. It'll come whenever they want it to come, truthfully. It's a click of a mouse to shut down the system. And the U.S. is not going to pass over the baton of the world's reserve currency to Russia and China and anybody else. The U.S. will be the last because we have control over the computer programs. We can destroy any market at any time with a click of a mouse. We can make the ruble go to minus $40. We can make the Chinese yuan go to minus $40. It's a click of a mouse. We control that system with our derivatives out of the Exchange Stabilization Fund, and every country knows it or should know it. There are no free markets. There haven't been free markets. Silver has been price suppressed for 170 years. So, yes, silver will go 1-to-1 with gold and probably better than that. I do think gold will go up to maybe $4,000 or $5,000 as this all unfolds if the system stays together, because there's a hell of a lot of gold out there. And don't forget, as the banks go down and they need cash, what's their best and easiest cash outside of the cash in their hand is going to be gold. They'll be selling gold. They don't have silver. They have SLV. They'll be selling SLV. I'll get to that in a second. But they don't hold physical silver for the most part. Now, JP Morgan did. They locked up over 1 billion ounces of physical silver, but they put it on a structured lease out to Bank of America, such that at the end of that lease, JP Morgan and Bank of America don't end up with the physical silver. How do we know that? Because of the derivative positioning at that time, and JP Morgan booked $1 billion gain when they put these leases out there. Now, in an operating lease, they wouldn't have booked a gain. Operating lease meaning they're going to get the silver back. In a finance lease where there's some kind of fix back in, they would have to book that gain, and they did book that gain back when this first started. I don't know how much has gone through that. I don't know how much they'd end up with. I would assume this is all part of the DOJ agreement that you will divest yourself of the silver. And that's, if you're wondering how silver has lasted since the short squeeze on silver, that's how it's done. That's the game they play. Now there's a new game, and I don't know what it is yet. I do believe it obviously includes JP Morgan and BlackRock with SLV. JP Morgan controls the biggest silver ETF with SLV, 500 million ounces. They own half, or they hold half of the silver on the COMEX in the warehouses, and probably over half in the LBMA in London. So Jamie Dimon, yes, the same person who got busted for rigging the silver market, is in charge of all the metal. And it's been rehypothecated 1,000 times. You could basically take SLV inventory, LBMA inventory, and COMEX inventory, and it's the same metal. Whatever's metal's in there. Nobody knows how much metal's in there. They'll say it's a lot, but it's not. But what they do have is triple, quadruple counted in those different ETFs and exchange warehouses. Quadruple counted, probably. And at some point, they'll just stop. SLV will stop trading. Now they're building a huge short position. Again, remember, for every share you buy, it's supposed to add an ounce of silver to SLV. A short position, all that means is you bought an ounce of supposedly silver-backed shares, and the authorized participants did not have it, so they could not put it into the inventory of SLV, so they had to short the stock, which is crazy. I think there's like 50 million ounces shorted now. So 50 million shares are completely blind, completely without physical silver backing, which is 100% against the prospectus at at BlackRock, who runs the exchange, even though JP Morgan is the one holding the physical silver. All of it is such bullshit and such insanity, but it's allowed to go on because the government official, the banks own the government owns the regulators are either dumb or incompetent or unwilling to do the work, or they more likely, and this has been proven, they've put in their own people into the spot where the regulations needed. For example, the OCC, Office of Comptroller of Currency, is supposed to regulate the over-the-counter derivatives on silver and gold and everything else. And who'd they put there? Who's in charge of that large bank thing? A JP Morgan employee. Coleman, his name's Greg Coleman, who just changed his picture on the OCC website. Check out my video on that. It's hysterical. Anyway, what does that got to do with silver? Silver's going to run like you wouldn't believe. I don't think it'll run on the COMEX to the numbers I'm talking about, 600, 700, 5,000, 10,000. There's no stopping silver. To stop silver, you got to short it. And getting in front of silver on a short is like it's handing your own ass to yourself, because you will lose. JP Blythe Masters figured that out when we were screaming about it back in when she took over the commodity division of JP Morgan, which is, I think, in 2008, 2009. That's when JP Morgan really dug in and started taking physical silver off the market. And even the Silver Eagle program, when they hit like 47 million ounces or 49 million ounces, that was mostly going to JP Morgan. Now, Ted Butler seems to think they melted it down and put it back into COMEX bars. I don't know about that one. I think that would be a stretch. Not that the money issue was a big deal, but I think the fact that they didn't need to. You don't need physical silver in the COMEX or in the ETFs. You can just lie. You can run your derivative games. You don't need the real thing anywhere, because the ability to lie is 100% guaranteed. So why would they? And there is a difference. If they were smart, they would understand there is a difference in a U.S. mint made silver coin and any other type of silver, because that is the official legal definition of the dollar. Is the constitutional definition. And when does that come in play? When the whole system falls apart, because it doesn't take deciders. It's already on the books. Gold and silver are money. Not gold and silver. Gold and silver are not money. I take that back. In the U.S., the legal money is the U.S. mint-made coinage by the United States for the country. It's not silver. It's got to be made with silver, but just having an ounce of silver is not the same as having a silver eagle that has been. Jenny Moonstone? We just did a reading on this, and she said the silver coins that will be the most valuable ones were anointed. That was the word, anointed. She goes like, anointed. I was like, what? It took me a while to figure that out, but that's what it is. That silver, that 1 ounce of silver that goes through the process of the U.S. Mint and is stamped with the silver eagle on it, or any of the other coinage that the U.S. Mint makes, is the money of the United States. So when the Federal Reserve note crashes and the banks crash, that will be the money of the United States. That anointed silver and gold will be the money. Now, I think the gold standards is a no-brainer. We have so much gold that's coming out our ears. And I think gold will be probably the most used in the monetary system, which is completely reversed from the past 5,000 years. Gold was rarely used as money in the past 5,000 years because there wasn't much of it at all. And if you listen to the debate I had with Steve St. Angelo, where he said, "Oh, there's no gold in Grand Canyon," there is. There's absolutely gold. There was a mini gold rush in the Grand Canyon, all up and down the Colorado River. But the problem wasn't that the gold was not there. It was there. It still is there. The problem is the price. And they set the price at $20.67 in 1900. So all the miners, they had their costs going up because the Fed was printing money. All their costs were going up, but the end price of the product had stayed the same. So it wasn't economical to pull that gold out of the ground. At $10,000 an ounce gold, of course it's going to be economical. Anywhere you look for gold, and that was a massive place. Now it's in, there's national parks left and right all over the place. You can't mine anything. You can't take a pebble out of the Grand Canyon, by the way. If you get one in your shoe, they can arrest you as you walk out of the Grand Canyon. You think that's crazy? No, it's all going to come down to that. So yes, there's massive amounts of gold along the Colorado River, up and down the canyon. I think we did find the mother lode. The mother lode in mining is that the source of all the gold flakes and specks all around in the sand and things like that, the placer gold. It all came from one source or many sources. I think there are many mother lodes within the Grand Canyon. And you look at the Grand Canyon, it wasn't formed by a lazy river, Colorado River coming down the canyon. That's the dumbest thing you ever heard. It was split. And it was split, I believe, and we've done remote viewings on this, it was an energy exchange, like a lightning storm in space, as they say on Star Trek, that there was an energy exchange between the Earth, Mars, and the sun. And that created the split in the Grand Canyon. It's a huge, massive event, obviously. But there's an identical or very similar Grand Canyon on Mars as well. It's much bigger. And those are all part, and they've done scientific studies on what it would look like if that happened, an energy exchange, an electrical exchange between planets. And it's exactly what the Grand Canyon looks like. There have been many cataclysms on our planet, but the mainstream will not let you know that. I heard that Graham Hancock, who had a great Netflix series, I think it was on Netflix, one of the big channels, like the most popular series, and they said, "Oh, we're cutting you off." They didn't renew him because he was talking about all the cataclysms that there's so much proof about that have happened on the planet Earth and have destroyed civilizations. It should be obvious, since we can't make some of these pyramids today, it should be obvious to know that we didn't make them thousands of years ago. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. All this shit is falling apart, which is great. But the biggest thing that's going to fall apart for you and I, as we go in our little tiny world of how do we survive economically, is the end of 170 years of silver price manipulation. And hopefully the arrest of the people who both perpetrated it and assisted in it. Blythe Masters over at Credit Suisse is, I don't even know what happened to her. I mean, did she get laid off? Probably. She's the fixer when it comes to derivatives. She was the promoter back in the 1990s and early 2000s with J.P. Morgan. She was the one who really championed everybody to get on the credit default swaps because it was a financial rigging of the accounting for how much exposure you have to certain credits. If you get credit default swap, that means you didn't even give them a loan. You can give them much more money. The whole thing was insane. And then they put her in charge of fixing the problem with silver and gold derivatives. And she ended up saying, I can't fix this derivative problem, but we can benefit greatly if we load up on physical silver and physical gold, which they did. So that's where we are now. As far as silver breaking out, today it's just flat. Yesterday was up $1. What happened between yesterday and today? Nothing. It's a rig job. What happens? They either rig it or they don't. They let it go up or they let it go down. You click a mouse. It's that easy. We are well above the 200, the 50, and the 100-day moving averages. So this is the part where the banking criminals will short as into the rise, and at some point slam the price of silver down below $21. Historically, that's always happened. You don't want to be out of the market at this point. If they do it, fine, pick up some more silver. But at the end of the day, you're not going to know the price of silver, and you're going to be, as Cliff loves to say, it'll be unobtainium. You won't be able to get any silver. Now, whoever's shorting right now, remember, every long has a short. So yesterday, they shorted, I'll tell you right now, it was about 9 times 5, 450 million ounces of silver were shorted. Half of the silver that is supplied to the market every year from mining and recycling was put on the market yesterday, on the derivative market. And it still rose $1. So we're in those days. It's going to be $1 days, $2 days, $5 days, and then after $5 days, it goes unobtainium. Now because of the open interest, 131,000 contracts times 5,000, it's somewhere around 650 million ounces that are short. So every dollar rise, the concentrated short, which this is a couple banks, the concentrated short will lose $650 million. For every dollar it goes up. So a $5 move, that's $3 billion. How about a $10 move? That's $6 billion they're going to lose. And people say, well, how can we get rid of these criminal banks? Well, there's your answer. Silver can destroy it. Silver is the bank destroyer. Not gold. They have plenty of gold. The gold doesn't even matter anymore. I'm going to love buying gold when the silver price is 1-to-1 with gold. I'm going to buy as much gold as I can get and use it as money and buy things with it. But right now, if you have gold, you are wasting an 80x move from 80-to-1 price threshold to 1-to-1. Why do I keep saying 1-to-1? There's only 6 billion ounces of each on the planet, supposedly, according to the guys like Jeffrey Christian. I think it's completely skewed. I think it's wrong, but it's wrong in the other way. I think there's a hell of a lot more gold than there is silver. But just using their numbers, it's 1-to-1. Now, what's more important, gold or silver in a monetary system? Gold or silver? They're equal. They're both monetary metals. As a matter of fact, the people have used silver as money a hell of a lot longer than they've used gold. Yes, the bankers love their gold, but they're going to sell their gold as they try to save their companies. That's what they're going to liquidate first. They're going to liquidate Bitcoin. There's another thing for you crypto people. Here's my prediction is which coin, which cryptocurrency being used as a currency will most likely do the best. I don't think it's Bitcoin because the banks already have Bitcoin. The big banks who are in it, that's all they can do. That's all they ever got comfortable with. The big money players, the corporations, the Fidelities of the world, all they could get comfortable with was Bitcoin, right? So they hold a bunch of Bitcoin as they have to liquidate. They're forced to liquidate because the world's falling apart, the system's crashing. They're going to be selling their physical gold. They're going to be selling their Bitcoin. What's the second best thing to Bitcoin that these guys don't have? It's Litecoin. Imagine that. So you won't have the selling pressure. Although if the banks are in trouble, all the exchanges will probably be shut down. But that's my take on partially, and that Litecoin is right now 300-to-1 with Bitcoin. People ask me, well, would you swap your Bitcoin for Litecoin? I said, I already did. At 300-to-1, Litecoin's going 4-to-1. It's so similar. Probably at the same time that silver goes 4-1, 1-1 with gold, Litecoin will go 4-1. I doubt 1-1 with Bitcoin, but you never know because these banks have to sell what they have. To survive, corporations have to have cash. And what do you sell? Your long-term investments, you can't. Everybody's trying to sell those. You sell things that are easy to liquidate, gold and silver and Bitcoin for the big players. Those are easy to liquidate, just like they were easy to get going up. That's my take. That's why I think Litecoin at 300-1 is a screaming buy if you're pro crypto. And then Theta's for the future. If you think the internet's going to be important in the future, yeah, get yourself a whole bunch of Theta and Theta Fuel. And then Veritasium is for lottery ticket winners. If Cliff's data is correct, and because Reggie Middleton was granted 2 patents in Japan and 1 patent in the U.S. completely out of the blue, I think his data will be correct, that the U.S. will go, we're trying to save our system. We need a fair place to exchange. Clearly, the exchanges that we have right now don't work. How can we do peer-to-peer exchanges where you take the middleman out? And that's what Reggie invented. That's what he got a patent for. And does he have to use the Veritasium tokens, the 100 million that he originally made? No, he doesn't have to use it. But why else would the U.S. government attack Reggie so violently and so crazily? I mean, literally, it's kind of like a Trump thing that, weaponizing the justice system, weaponizing the SEC against one single player who invented something that could save the world. Why did they go after him? And then why are 98 million of the 100 million tokens frozen? They're not sold off. They're not deleted. Yes, you can easily delete those tokens. You can send them to a wallet, and then a paper wallet, and then rip it up in little pieces and light it on fire, and it'll be in that wallet, and you'll never know where it could never come back. And then you'd have to go out and invent more Veritasium tokens. But they didn't do that. Everything is in limbo still with Reggie Middleton and the Veritasium business and thought and idea, and it's amazing. So yeah, if you can get Veritasium, I'd say get yourself a lottery ticket. Absolutely. Because if it is implemented by the U.S., Cliff's prediction will come true. Veritasium will go well above the price of Bitcoin per coin. And there's 21 million Bitcoin, and there's, right now, there's only 2 million circulating of Veritasium, but there's 100 million. So it would take, I don't know if he was talking about overall market cap or price. At that point, you don't care because you're rolling in the dough with your Veritasium. Anyway, lots going on. That's my take. And I've really pared down. I used to have every crypto under the sun. A lot of them have completely disappeared. Not necessarily due to it wasn't a good idea or poor performance, but because of the attacks by the government of the United States of America and other governments. The first Mt. Gox takedown was absolutely government run. The obvious Mt. Gox trustee, after the bankruptcy, the trustee dumped coins to crash the price of Bitcoin in 2019 timeframe. Your government is actively working against you to destroy your investments. And the latest one, Gary Gensler at the helm, they ran up all the DeFi stuff. I was screaming at everybody, this is bullshit. The DeFi is not structured properly. Never let your coins out of your own possession. Nobody listened, and poof, it exploded. Because Gary Gensler knew it would have exploded. They took down FTX on purpose. It's all part of the game. Delay, delay, delay. And now we hear that the U.S. government is selling Bitcoin to keep the price further down. Bitcoin that they confiscated over the years. So, lots going on in the world, as you can tell. This is interesting. Chicago has a new mayor, and he's supposed to be like 10 times worse than Lightfoot. Why? I sit there and I think, what happened to Chicago? I mean, it was supposed to go bankrupt years ago. Remember that? Well, magically, they got bailout after bailout after bailout and then COVID hit, and they took on $188 billion in federal aid. And then they took that and everybody was spending it. So all of a sudden, the government has money again. So what do? They spend it and they promise it and they take loans off it. And they're back in the saddle again with complete financial collapse. And it's right here. Illinois has received at least $188 billion in federal aid stimulus. Chicago's budget has ballooned 53% compared to pre-COVID. So they're giving money for COVID, then they say, oh, we can spend on everything, give everybody free shit. And now all that money is stopping, and they're in even worse trouble. Chicago's corporate fund revenues have ballooned more than 40% in just 4 years. That's all due to stimulus money, free money. Chicago has the nation's worst credit rating. It is like one step above junk bond. And junk bond is like, it's over. You can't raise money. You can't do anything. And this is a city. City's broken pension system remains a huge problem. Look at the liabilities. Chicago owes $34 billion. $34 billion in unfunded liability. Total $44.5 billion. And all this money from the federal government for COVID is over. Nobody has any idea just yet how damaged the city really is. And this guy who just got elected is not going to fix it. He's going to do the exact opposite. He's like, wait till reparations. San Francisco passed a law that says we got to pay $5 million to every black person. I'm going to identify as a black person and take my $5 million. I don't know about you guys. I think we should all get a P.O. box, one of those fake P.O. boxes where we have residency in San Francisco, claim that we identify as a black person, and then wait for our $5 million check. What do you think? And what do you constitute black? Is it black in any color? Or do you have to be always? Is it African? Is it what nations in Africa? What if at some point down the line you're not 100% African? Or is it just Africa? Or is it any person of color? Any mixed race? I mean, we've all at some time in history, every color, every creed has been a slave to somebody. So why do taxpayers in San Francisco which had nothing to do, the taxpayers today that are alive had nothing to do with, the slavery. There wasn't even slavery. It wasn't even legal in California. That's how crazy it is. It's beyond crazy. If you can vote yourself money, you're going to do it. And then Janet Yellen will bail you out because everything is systemic now. It has gone completely off the rails. And then what happens when the bankers get in trouble, which we know they are right now? They try to put us into a war. This next war will be a nuclear war if it happens. If we go to war with Russia or China or almost anybody now, it will be a nuclear exchange. I'm just stating, get ready for it. Get ready. What do I do? Stick my head between my legs and kiss my ass goodbye? Absolutely. I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's cooler heads that prevail, but here we go. Soderbergh pledges Ukraine will become a member of NATO. That's what the United States wanted all the time, the entire time. That's what the Biden administration was working on, these deep state lefty liberals. That's what they want. They want to bring everybody into protection of Ukraine. Ukraine is the motherland of the deep state, if you didn't know by now. So there you go. These crazy Biden people are trying to throw us into a world war. You'd think gold and silver would be quadruple what they were. By the way, the price of silver is currently less than 50% of its all-time high in 1980 and 2011. $50 was the all-time high. Gold is almost triple its all-time high. When it hits $2,400, it will be triple its all-time high from 1980, and silver is half. If there has ever been a no-brainer time to get your ass to your local silver store and buy as much as you can, as much as they have, now is the time. Andy Scheckman has inventory, he says, but it goes and it comes. So if you want to get some silver from Andy, send him an email, info at milesfranklin.com. We've talked about this a million times. So many Road to Ruta people have used Andy Scheckman's system to get their silver into their own possession. He mails it to your front door. And I trust him. There's a lot of shysters out there on internet silver sites. They're going to promise you the silver, and all of a sudden you're going to be, oh shit, where's my silver? And months later it'll be, oh shit, where's my silver? And months later it'll be, oh shit, where's the company that I ordered my silver from? So many silver dealers overpromise and under-execute and go the way of the dodo bird because they're dealing in big money, and they think they know what they're doing. And with the volatility, it doesn't necessarily even have to be fraud. So, yep. That's why I say start local. Go get to know your local guy. You're going to be selling an ounce of silver to him to buy your next car. So it's good to know that guy or gal. Gal. God, that's how old I am. Gal. Anyway, that's what's going on the Road to Ruta. I will be talking to Jenny Moonstone tomorrow. Lots to talk about. So much to talk about in silver and in the Trump situation. And remember, this is all planned. Go listen to that discussion I had with the Woo Dude and Snippy and JC last night. Again, it's on Rumble, Beyond Mystic. Also, go to Pebbleton Post, the Pebbleton Post YouTube channel. I just finished a discussion with Josh, and they are doing great things over there. So make sure you subscribe to their YouTube channel. And if you got a couple pennies, they have a Patreon channel as well that we did a lot of like behind the scenes stuff there. And it's only, I think it's like $15 to join. So check them out, the Pebbleton Post on Patreon as well. This is Bix Weir. I will talk to you guys later.